Live employees of the extremely digital variety, I would liketh to inform thee, and I have taken thy newest sidearm, Cycron. I would liketh to inform thee, and I would rather stuff it a cactus up my own rampillion than use it this disgraceful excuse for an instrument of destruction. 'Tis shite. Love, the gentleman.
You know, before I started doing Warframe videos, I would just straight up delete weapons that I didn't like. I wouldn't even max them out before I sold them. If I just didn't like the weapon, I would take it and throw it into the bin. And I was reminded of that time as I was trying to max out the Cycron. When I first picked it up 2 days ago, I was really excited about the idea, a weapon that has infinite ammo, but the downside is that you have to wait for it to recharge. So I took the Cycron into a mission, hated every single second of that mission, and went, well, this is not my kind of thing. But then I remembered that there were other weapons that I didn't like at first, and I ended up liking them in the end. So I picked it up again yesterday, and I used it with different caster frames, the idea being that you just fire off your entire magazine, and as you're waiting for it to recharge, you use your Warframe abilities instead. This, however, didn't help either, because it still felt very restrictive. Sometimes I would just like to shoot, and the weapon wasn't done recharging yet. But I kept going with the hope that once you get it to rank 30 and you throw in a couple of mods, it's gonna be more fun. But it isn't. This weapon is just not fun. This weapon is shite in almost every respect. It's mastery fodder, and the finest example of it. There is no real reason to get this weapon outside of upping your mastery rank. There will of course be some people that find the weapon fun, but I can't imagine there's gonna be too many of them. The weapon is boring, it has a limited range, it doesn't do a lot of damage, it's a beam weapon that focuses on status per second of all things, and it actually takes longer to recharge the magazine than to fire it off. But anyway, the weapon has 100 accuracy, so it's pinpoint accurate, which is good. It has 5% crit chance and 1.5 times multiplier, which is something that we haven't seen in quite some time. It fires 5 rounds every second with a 20-round magazine and a recharge time of 5 seconds. However, that is a little bit misleading because it only takes 5 seconds to start charging the magazine and it takes another second to charge it up, so it's actually 6 seconds. And a 6-second reload time is pretty terrible on its own, no matter the weapon, but when it takes 4 seconds to expend the magazine, it's even worse. You will literally spend less time firing the weapon than waiting for it to recharge. However, you can reduce the time it takes to start charging the weapon by adding reload speed mods. And as you can see over here, the weapon comes with 2 dash polarities as standard, which is pretty nice as well. And finally, the weapon does 60 heat damage with each damage tick. Now, if you still want to pick up the Cycron, you can get the blueprint from the Corpus Lab in your dojo. Now, the research requirements are actually fairly light, they're not too bad, but since no one has had the time to research it yet, I don't know what the build requirements are. And just as sort of a formality, this is the setup I'm using. I refuse to put on any forma because I don't believe that any amount of mods will make the weapon more fun. Now, there are some good things about the weapon, like for example, you will get a guaranteed heat proc even if you use the heat damage to combine it into another element, so you can run gas and still get heat procs, which is pretty nice. And the infinite ammo gimmick is a neat idea which was just executed very poorly. So even though I don't like that if you fire too early it will stop the charge and you have to wait 5 more seconds for it to start charging, I like that it's the only thing that affects it, because you can roll around, you can cast abilities, and you can even switch to a different weapon and it will not stop the weapon from charging. This could have been so good, but it just isn't, because then, you realize it takes longer to recharge than to fire it, and also the weapon doesn't do enough damage to where you would take it into a mission where other sidearms would just run out of ammo, so you would get the edge of having infinite ammo. And you can kind of see how this weapon could have been fun when you go into a fissure mission and you get lucky enough to get the infinite ammo corruption. Then the weapon is kind of alright. But as it is right now, just no. Avoid like the plague or just get it for the mastery. And that's pretty much it for the video, so I thank you very much for watching as always, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.